Hey, it's your boy, Sergeant Hooked on Henshins. So, today we are reviewing Kamen Revice, episode 18. Do gotta say, this is probably my favorite episode of the series so far. I know I've not been saying that as often as I have with Zenkaiger. I've been enjoying Revice, but Zenkaiger's been having just banger after banger after banger, you know? But Revice is really, really good, and it's getting even better. Um, just so you guys know, like a little life update thing, I am currently at my in-laws right now. We are working on getting a new house. We're just about to sell ours and then moving into a new one pretty soon. So kind of a makeshift setup in here. I'm actually in the bedroom that we stay in right now. So anyway, back to episode 18. Nice lead off from last episode. That's why I like these last few episodes been leading right off one another. There's not like a gap in between or like, oh, that was last week, but today we're this. So, end of last episode was Icky and Vice finally defeating that Giftarian, but finding out from Oteka there is no saving them because the Gifu stamp forcibly makes that demon come out and devour the person it's sacrificing, basically. So there's no saving the person afterwards. Whereas with the other Dead Man's monsters, they would be released afterwards, you know? So that pisses Icky off because he had said from the start he wants to save as many people as possible. And so he feels responsible for someone's death. And it really infuriates him. And it goes along with the whole theme of like self and like how far are you willing to go to save people. And I like that the show is starting to kind of like poke at and challenge writer tropes. Definitely like the burden of the main writer. It definitely has almost like a sense of like original Ichigo, where it's like he knows deep down he's not fully human, and in a way Icky knows too. Like he's partially connected with this demon. He has this power to himself that doesn't come from a nice place, but he's going to use it to protect those he holds dear and to protect humanity. So he attacks Oteka and ends up stopping midway because the Volcano Rex power-up thing like starts catching him on fire basically, and it like really badly burns him and hurts him, and so he gets rushed to the hospital. And At the same time, Oteka leaves, you know, like haha, I win, pretty much type of thing, and we're getting a lot more with Julio slash Tamaki, I think is his name, pretty sure. I can't remember his friend's name, but we're going more with that storyline where last episode found out that Julio used to be pretty much a dork, was into this card game, found this one friend who was nice to him, and then ended up betraying him and all that, being bullied, and so he decided to give up on humanity and all that. And so this episode has him finally being confronted by his friend and talking to him, and his friend like actually apologizing to him for what he did before, offering him either, I couldn't tell if it was a new version of that card he ripped up or if it was the card pieced back together, showing how much he cared about igniting their friendship, and how awful he felt that he feels responsible for what happened to Julio, and that he also feels responsible that maybe his actions caused Julio to go down the path he did, becoming part of the Dead Man's, hurting people, causing chaos and mayhem and all that kind of stuff. While this is happening, we have also some scenes with. They do a really good job of like having duo scenes where there's two characters doing something, and then there's another scene with two characters also doing something. They're doing a really good job with that so far in the season. So, Icky and Vice are in the hospital, and Icky's holding the driver, and they have this really nice scene where he's going on and on about being a writer and how he wants to keep people safe and all of that. And Vice is like, well, I understand, but you also have to like worry about yourself a little bit too, and like you don't want to put yourself in danger. And they basically get down to it, and Icky's trying to act like, no, it's okay if I get hurt. Well, he's like, oh, really? Because we're one and the same. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, just because you released me that day doesn't mean I've not always been a part of you. So if you hate yourself, if you're willing to hurt yourself, you're willing to hurt me. And Icky knows that's not true. Like, yes, at first, there was the episodes here and there where he would transform just to kick Vice's ass because Vice is being a dick. But they've grown really close, and I really think this is great characterization for Vice because he started out as kind of a joke and really had a lot of negative backlash going towards him with the actions of his voice actor doing blackface and doing other things, basically making fun of people culturally being racist. And following that, or right around that time, their cameo in Saber was not good. It made Vice out to be a complete joke, and it's clear that it wasn't Revice's writers writing that cameo. So he had kind of like a lot of like space to grow and to show that he was a part of things in a way that was worthwhile. And this episode does a really good job of that. I mean, we really see that Vice has, learned a lot, has really um, matured in a lot of ways, and is willing to work with Icky, and Icky's had an effect on him that, yes, he's still a demon, he's still willing to go wild and all that kind of stuff, but that he can kind of be directed towards a target instead of just wanting to, like, viciously attack everybody. And I like the little moments here and there in different episodes where he mentions, even as a fellow demon, this guy's kind of a bit much. I like that he's seeing himself different from most demons. I think that's kind of a cool thing. Is it to the same level as AG and Ankh? Not right now. It could maybe get there, but AG and Ankh's relationship is something that a lot of seasons probably would want to get to there, get to that point, but have not been able to do. So anyway, they have this really good thing where they come together, come to terms with each other, and he says basically to Vice, like, you'd never betray me, right? And Vice is like, well, of course. And so he stamps himself with the Rex V stamp and makes Vice, physical to help him get him out. And the stamp malfunctioned because they weren't in full perfect sync. Now they are. And so he goes out there and he's all like bandaged up over his whole stomach and his chest and everything, and he's got on his head. He's looking like shit, Icky. We jump back to Julio and his friend, and right as he's like, because he's kind of in shock over what's happening, that his friend's talking to him and apologizing and all that, and he's not sure if he's being pulled in a bunch of different ways. I mean, all these are known as the Dead Man's, and then that kind of went sour because of Giff trying to use Aguilera as a sacrifice and not just marrying her or whatever. And Oteko being okay with that and kind of coming after them and seeing them as enemies now. And so he's got a lot of things pulling him in different directions. And I think that's really good because honestly, I give way more of a crap about the villains in the season, about the Dead Mans in this season, than I ever did about the Meg and Saber. I'm sorry if you guys like the Meg, people watching this are Saber fans, that's fine, that's okay. I just didn't like it myself. But anyway, so I'm going back and forth talking to his friend, telling him I want to bring back our friendship. You may not be, ready to talk now, but just know that, I hope that you will someday forgive me, and that, I want to be able to be there for you, and blah, blah, blah. Definitely almost got some, like, gay vibes a little bit, which, I mean, a lot of writer shows have that in there. But anyway, they're talking and whatnot, they're doing their thing, and he goes to look up to talk to him, and Ortega hits him. And he's like, and he sees the gift stamp in his hand, he's just smiling at him, and he's like, and stamps his friend with it. And of course we know this is a death sentence, because as said previously, the gift stamp, when it's used on a person, sacrifices that entire person to make a new demon. So, and it was sad watching it because, like, I knew that in my head, but I said out loud, like, no, come on, save him. But they can't yet, as far as we know. So it does it, makes him a new Giftarian. He says as he's transforming, like, I'm sorry, Tamaki, or whatever his human name was. And he turns into a monster, of course. And that just sets Julio off. And so they shoot something at him or something like that at Julio to kill him, and he stops it. And he becomes this, like, berserk form, this wolf riot dead man form, this, like, berserk really powerful form. He can, like, make a bunch of explosions and stuff. Kind of reminding me of Kuga when he would, like, defeat one of the Grongi, and it would make a huge explosion afterwards sometimes. So anyway, he transforms to a new berserk state and kicks the monster's ass, destroys it. I think, I'm pretty sure he does himself, or maybe when Revice come in, they do. But anyway, they come in, they go into, Barid, Rex, Vice, and, Volcano Rex, Revi, and they fight Julio. Actually, Julio, right before that, is going after Oteka. Oteka barely has time to activate his V-Stamp and transform into his monster form before he gets smacked by Julio and nearly killed, honestly. And so, of course, Oteka gets away like the little snidely whiplash little punk bitch he is. And Julio is in a berserk state, and so Revi and Vice are fighting him. They end up beating him, and he reverts back, and they're close to wanting to just destroy him. And what's-her-name gets in the way, Aguilera, and says, really, you're going to leave me alone by myself? And so she takes him away. He's in shock right now over his friend's death and everything else happening. And Revi and Vice, demorph, if you will. And it's a really nice scene of Vice, like, helping Iggy up and, saying, I got you, like, you can lean on me too, like, I know you don't trust me all the time, but just know we're, like, two halves of the same coin, blah, blah, blah. And so I really like that. Again, this episode did some wonders with their relationship. Some really, really poignant scenes, and honestly, some almost near tearjerkers for me personally. Really tugging on the heartstrings. Um, Overall, a fantastic episode. I probably would give it honestly a 10 out of 10 just based on the action and the story alone, not let alone the transformations and stuff. Sakura was in the episode, and for once, she does get her butt kicked. So that was kind of interesting to see. I believe I think either Oteka or the monster they're fighting ends up kind of kicking her butt. And of course, Daiji gets his butt kicked. I mean, that's been happening ever since he's become Kamen Rider Alive instead of evil. So, sorry, Konichi, I apologize. Anyway, so, we also get the hint that Hiromi, the demon's driver, is having a negative impact on him, that it's actually affecting his, internal organs, and that it's aged them up to like being what would be of an 80-year-old man or something. So next episode is dealing with that, and I'm hoping they don't kill him off. It's possible. If you didn't know, Hiromi's character was not supposed to survive past episode 1. He was supposed to die in that episode, but people liked him so much that they kept him on and made him demons. So I hope that they don't kill him. They could, but I feel like it'd be a bit much to do that after him being in the show for so long. And if he does, I hope there's some way he's brought back later to still be demons, because I don't want anyone else to be demons. But I am glad we're getting more backstory on this driver, because pretty much every other driver so far we've gotten some backstory on it, how it works. So it's interesting to see how this is going to work out and how it's going to play out for Hiromi overall. We also see at the end of the episode, pretty interesting, the Phoenix director guy that introduced last episode is in the room with the Gifu statue, and he's basically saying that something about like interesting when, I don't know, some kind of line basically showing that he has some allegiance to Gifu. So that's kind of interesting too. We also had, forgot to mention this, a really interesting part where George actually apologized to Icky in the hospital for ever making the Buried Rex and Volcano stamp, and that it may have been too much and blah blah blah. And Icky stops him and is like, don't worry about it. We need more power. You did what you thought you had to. We'll get, we'll work around it. So overall, really good episode. I really enjoyed it. Coming up for content, I'm definitely going to review Zenkaiger from this week. Episode 43 was really good. And trying to keep up with the episode reviews week to week. I mean, clearly I'm in the middle of moving, so I don't know how on it I'll be right away. If there is a pause or a gap in content, I do apologize for that. But I definitely will try to keep up as best I can. But thank you guys so much for watching, for subscribing, liking, commenting. All that kind of stuff is really, really awesome and good to see. Definitely let me know in the comments below, what did you think of today's episode, of episode 18. Did you like it, love it, middle ground, whatever. I did previously put up my review for the Kamen Rider Ichigo Ishinomori manga collection they put out, and also the Go Ranger one, so check that out on the channel. Be there in the reviews, in the newest video section. Definitely check that out. Pretty soon, I'm hoping the Legend Makeover series Forza Driver will be here, hopefully at some point soon. Same thing with the Demons Driver. Definitely going to do some demos and Toku reviews for those. And I'm thinking about, once I've watched it all the way through, I got my Kamen Rider 01 Blu-ray set, so I'm definitely going to do a review of that, kind of talking about how great it looks, maybe any special features that are on there, stuff of that nature. But yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that. Yeah, but I guess until next time, stay hooked on Henshin's. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.